It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
One just has to pick up a magazine or turn on a television to see that as women, we are bombarded daily with media images of female physical perfection, setting up the most unrealistic of expectations as to how we should look. No wonder female body confidence is falling while incidents of eating disorders are on the rise. What's most alarming is the way this affects young girls. A reduced sense of self-worth can create anxiety, stress, even depression, causing relationship issues while potentially impairing academic and job performance. In direct contrast, Confidence in Bloom is designed to reinforce the truth and reassure every woman who has ever felt inadequate, unworthy, or tossed aside because of how she looks, that no matter her age, shape, or background, you matter, you are enough now. I, Tina Spolatini, a woman of substance, insist women deserve to be happy, confident, successful, and totally in love with themselves in their own bodies just the way they are. Through an ongoing series of intriguing conversations with women from all walks of life who are all extraordinary in their own right, we will embark upon a journey of ultimate self-acceptance and empowerment. Together we'll share stories, laugh, learn, maybe even shed a few tears when it becomes clear just how far many women have come to realize how wonderful life is when you stand in your own power, feeling fantastic in your own skin. Kimberly Jolivet is my guest today. Meet Kimberly Jolivet, your guide to the body's hidden messages. What if your feet could spill your secrets? The stars could reveal your patterns, and your chakras could unlock your true potential. With over 30 years of experience in reflexology, astrology, and energy work, Kimberly helps decode the maps of your body and soul. Meet Kimberly Jolivet, your guide to the body's hidden messages. What if your feet could spill your secrets? The stars could reveal your patterns, and your chakras could unlock your true potential. With over 30 years of experience in reflexology, astrology, and energy work, Kimberly helps decode the maps your body and soul have created. In this episode of Confidence in Bloom, we'll explore what your feet reveal about your health and emotions, how astrology helps you align with the cosmic flow, and why blocked chakras might be draining your energy and confidence. So get ready for an enlightening conversation that will shift the way you see yourself inside and out. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you.
So shall I call you Kimberly or Kim, or is there another name that you go by?
Kimberly.
Kimberly, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And that's how I introduced you in your bio. So tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, that's a question I don't know if I'm ready for. Honestly, it's so funny. With all my journeys and adventures, that is one thing I don't know if I've ever actually narrowed down. Through and through Canadian, I've lived in 7 out of the 13 territories and provinces in my whole life. So I'm not really from one, I'm from all. I have traveled across this country many, many times. And so I do enjoy that. The ability to see and hear things differently. Currently on the East Coast, and the Atlantic Ocean has always had my heart. So I'm very, very happy to be rooted here. I am, well, yeah, the way I define myself, I don't define myself by what I have. I am a mother, but that doesn't define me. We homeschool. I am currently partnered, but also a widow. And yeah, I don't know. What else do people want to know about me? Because I never know. I always think everybody wants to know about themselves, never me.
Oh no, I want to know all about you. Okay, so let's go, the questions or the answers will come as we get to know what you do and why you do it.
Yes.
So let's start with astrology. I have a feeling that conversation could go on for hours. because there's so much to know, right? And there's so much, like, for myself personally, like, I know very little, and I know that there's, like, you can, like, live your life, run your business, run your family based on, knowing your birthday. Like, I know that part. I have no idea how that works, but maybe explain to us, first of all, how you got into it, or were born into it, or however, and then explain a little bit of what it is.
I think astrology has been under scrutiny for thousands and thousands of years because nobody really knows how it fully works. But for me, really just bored in school, growing up in a predominantly faith-based household, that I was always curious. I always thought there had to be more. And as I stumbled more and more into it, call it a teenage rebellious phase, part of me was skeptical to see why this even works, why this is even true. And like most really good professional astrologers, I fell down that rabbit hole of this can't actually work out, so let's prove it wrong. And 30 years later, I find I'm still in the same boat, and it works. And so through practical application and reading the books and going through thousands and thousands and thousands of charts, it's not so much that it's been disproved, it's that some of these steps really truly work. And what I love about them is that in my years of doing the astrology is that it is so non-denominational, it works with what you believe. So if you are someone who worships the moon, for example, astrology works with that belief system. If you are someone who thinks it doesn't work at all, it works with that as well. Like, I love it because it has no claim to anything except itself. And throughout the 30 years that I've been working on it, I realized that that is also true of us as individuals. We have no claim to anything but ourselves. And so the deeper we know ourselves, the more in tuned we are with ourselves, it's like the freer we actually are to live the life we choose. And so for me, yeah, it's like signs on the highway, signs on the highway are so helpful.
You're right.
Yeah, you can read them. Great. You can ignore them. Also great. The signs don't care what you're doing. They're just there in case you want them. And I love that because astrology works in the same merit.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, I Catholic, grew up Catholic. And so all these things are like, they're all the gypsy things, right? Like, that's what we were told when we were growing up, and they were not good. We weren't to follow them. We weren't to believe in them or any of that stuff. And anybody who had any play with that, right? Like any belief or any like work along with it, were like, they were not to be, in your life. And so when I hear you say that there's no claim to it, that makes me wonder, like, the people of the church, how do they, interpret what you're saying, right? Like, they must look at you and go, oh, she's blasphemous. She's, a huge sinner. Like, I often wonder, and I'm not judging you in that.
No,
I'm just wondering how the church would look at you in that way.
There has been over the years, I'm just trying to think how to answer this question. You are asking a question that could lead to an entire podcast of its own.
I know.
Let's just start there. So secondly, with that kind of question, of course, I've been accosted by different religions across the board. And I'm actually just as nervous to meet religions that are totally accepting of astrology, because they take what you say as though it's written in stone, and that can be quite, you really have to be okay with what you're saying, because these people are taking literally and acting on it just as much as the people who are fearful. But the best example I would have is that, and I've learned this throughout the years, is the universe works in balance. And this way to do it is the sun and the moon. They really don't exist together except at sunrise and sunset, right? And the eclipses. But the rest of the time, you have either the sun or the moon. And they both equally, have merit. Like, think of nature. Nature needs both the sun and the moon to function, right? And so in the world, we aren't meant to like everybody all the time. And everybody's not meant to like us all the time. So looking for that balance, that line in between, to understand that it's okay to disagree or okay to agree. And personally, what astrology has actually taught me, and being raised Christian especially, is it's taught me to accept the differences. It's taught me to realize that it's okay if they think I'm blasphemous, because I am also not ruled by the same fear they are. My
Right.
own
Yeah.
personal belief system is different, and really all I have is love. And astrology has taught me that it is okay that people believe differently, that we think differently, that we want different things. And I mean, you can even say, what does success means to you? And success to you or me might actually even be a very different definition. And that's okay too. So I see it in that same light. And in all reality, when somebody is so pragmatic into their beliefs, it's okay that they choose that. But I don't have to take their fear on.
I love that. Actually, that's a really good answer, because like fear, I think religion, and I want to bite my tongue a little bit, but I feel like religion is fear-based, right? From my experience, it's like fear this, fear that, and God will protect you. Yeah. Right? That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from most religions. And I know I've heard other people say it in that, and you know, I fear like God, because I don't want to do anything, you know, wrong for his final judgment. And so I struggle with that. Right.
And I can totally understand and respect that. But I also take the fact that, I mean, here's a hidden secret. The Bible is one of, I think, 3 books I've read written around the same time frame. So I'm not immune to what's in the Bible. I love some of the stories, don't get me wrong. But here's what I've also learned is books are always written by the winners. They're written by the intelligent. And not everybody sees a flower the same way.
Right. Right. And we have to be knowing that.
The Bible was written by man, and especially back in that time, it was written by men. And so we have to take the words with a grain of salt, because that is whoever authored. You know, when you think of books nowadays that are co-authored, every chapter is authored by somebody different. The Bible is very similar. And it's okay that people have chosen to believe that, because for years and years, even before the Bible or Christianity rose, there were other religions out there.
Yeah. And well, we all know that.
And just as valid in their own. Yeah. And that's what astrology is saying, is that it has no claim, because, and I even said this I think I did a live a week or 2 ago, and I said, you could be a goat. Astrology doesn't know. It doesn't know your background. It doesn't know your culture. So as you get to know astrology, you really have to take the querent or the client into consideration, because a client coming to me from a Hindu belief system is going to see astrology very differently than, say, an Asian belief system, or even the Western culture belief systems.
Okay, so it's not, it's not religion. It's not really how we got here. It's why we got here. Am I right?
In a way, I've always seen the chart, and this was told to me years ago, so I can't even remember where I heard this, but the minute you take your first breath is when the chart is constructed. That breath and that chart is your agreement with God, Spirit, Creator, Universe on how you want to navigate this physical life. That's all it is. So even for a Christian-based faith, this was your conversation with God. I just happen to be one of the weird ones that got the ability to translate it for you.
Okay. Okay. So that's what astrology is you're translating my purpose, my reason for being here.
Yeah. So you ever say your kids don't come with instruction manuals? I'll tell you, that's a lie. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, but we don't figure it out.
No. No, right? No, and I can tell you, I have used my son's chart since the day we came home from the hospital, and it has been both a help and a hindrance.
Yeah, well, and that's the way it is, right? I mean, I get that. I can see that that's, you know, how it would work, because, you know, what you believe and what you want to believe and what, you know, you're going to learn in the chart if they don't coincide, then you're like, okay, now what do I do? Right. And
right?
so that's actually an interesting question. What if they don't coincide and you have this belief? Because I know I parented my kids this way. I went with what my gut told me. And as as they grew, I learned that, oh, maybe I didn't handle that quite the way I should have. What have you learned with using the astrology and your gut instinct?
Forgive me, I have a cat I did not know was in here.
Oh.
And she is playing with the curtain, so I apologize. Okay, so one of the first big things I noticed in my son's chart is how he can outstubborn me. And ever since he was a wee baby, and not that he was ever wee anything, but ever since he was tiny, and even before he could communicate, he had an iron fist that when he locked down an opinion, that was where it was staying. And I acknowledged very quickly that he is reflecting back my need to stand up for myself.
Oh.
So in order to help him navigate his strength, especially in that emotional department and how he communicated, I had to learn to have solid boundaries for myself.
Wow. Okay, so I have 3 that came out with that strong fist, right? Yeah.
And so
okay.
it's where it is too. Or even noting in charts, like on let's say a famous example is Princess Diana had a signature in her chart that Prince George has.
Oh.
And a lot of astrologers picked up on that right away. And it's almost as though that family line has passed through. And I can tell you in my chart, I have a certain astrological signature and placement that my son also has. Now, that placement for each of us is in different areas of experience, but we still have that familiar line. So you can look at lineage through the chart as well. With the chart, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but I got to see how my son views his mother. And I was like, oh no.
Oh no, that's a good thing. He's young. I'm going to assume he's young because you're a baby.
He's 11.
Yeah. So that, now, I have adult children now, like they're young adults, but they're adults. And there's that, I think that there's a benefit to that, right? Yeah. I know myself, like we go through things and we think, gee, did we teach them right? Like, are they doing the right thing? Whether it's what I taught them or what it's not what I taught them, right? It's good to know how they view you so that you know that if they understand what you're thinking and why you think it, right? Because they don't know. They have no idea. They just think my mother is the worst mother ever.
Yeah.
Right. But if you understand what they're thinking and why they're thinking it, you can at least kind of walk them through that. Right.
I do. I take a step back and I hand him the reins. Like there are some things in his chart that I lack. So I don't have the understanding, but I have the know-all, I guess, through studying astrology to give him the room to explore that. To know that particular emotional outburst and especially timing, if I'm aware of what's going on in the skies, I can pick up and he needs room for this.
Yeah.
And so I can give him room and we can talk about it and we talk about our differences and what I need versus what he needs and where the missing link can show. Do you know what I mean? And so already at 11, we have solid boundaries between the two of us. We have hard no's that we both respect. Right. And we have areas now. I am the adult, right? So in this physical incarnation, I have more experience than he does. And so my role, and I've always said this to people, my role is to really make sure he gets to be an adult, to live his life his best way possible. I'm just here to make sure he doesn't get dead before then.
Right. And some of us parents
journey.
Don't understand that.
Yeah.
Right.
Journey. Yeah. So I need to give not skills that I think I need or he needs, because what I need to navigate the world is not what he needs to navigate the world.
Right. But at the same time, they're going to be skills that he can take into his future if he should need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just make him available or make things to him available that maybe I don't understand from people who have similar traits or qualities, and I can connect him with those. Now, here's the crazy cool thing. Remember me saying astrology works no matter what you do, whether you believe in it or not? Guess what? Did you follow your instincts? And you know what you did? You did the right thing.
Right. Right.
Because astrology doesn't work against who we are. So the more we know ourselves, the more we're true to our own nature, every choice is the right choice. And so when I use astrology to
that's a hard learn.
it is.
It sounds like it should be an easy learn, but I think that's a hard learn. At least it is for me. Like, I don't know my chart. I don't, I haven't gone that deep, but yeah, like, it's like listening to your your intuition. Like, you know that right? Mm-hmm. But part of you is like, but that's not what the books say, or that's not what my dad said, or that's not what, the church is telling me, right? So I can see that that's where there's a big conflict, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
There can be, but what I've learned through astrology is, like, I've had to peel layers of my mom's fear off of me, right? Growing up under her belief systems, her thought patterns, what she felt was right, or what she felt was moral. And growing up through that and learning to understand my own angst is the cool part about astrology, and especially the way it helped me, and I've seen it help others, is I chose that environment on purpose to help me uncover some of the truth within me. And so here I am in my existence, realizing that no matter the turmoil from my growing years, every moment of it allowed me to be true to who I am. So astrology, again, isn't negating that. My mom had every right to believe what she believed for her reasons for her, right? It was a matter of me taking the reins to my own life and peeling back some of those layers. And that's what astrology helps with. It doesn't actually take away any of that belief system. And I've had clients, believe it or not, who are very prominent members of their churches. And because of the confidential nature, they can come to me, and for the same fears that you have, but all it does is help solidify and make them stronger in their own faith. It connected them closer to God because that's what they believed.
Yeah. Okay. So like, yeah, I can see the benefits of that. Right. So yeah, now I'm a little bit more curious, I guess, to find out more about,
and again, if you want to take it around a fire under a full moon, I mean, it supports that too. But the reality is that we are human, and fate and free will are two very distinct properties, and we hold both of them regardless of our belief systems. And that's why I love astrology, because it says, here's the GPS system if you want it, to your check-in points, the lessons you've decided to learn this lifetime. But how you go about learning that is only up to you. 100%.
Oh, it'd be interesting to know, like, how many, or if there's been anybody in the world that, waited until they were like sort of, like in their late 80s, like sort of just before death, and they realize that this astrology, story is there for them. And now they can look back at it and go, wow, so I lived the life I was meant to live. Or, I probably went through all this struggle, right? Because I was, again, like, not doing what my stars aligned were telling me, right?
Well, exactly. And here's the funny thing. I know we started with astrology, but me being me and forever curious, I ended up getting into like the reflexology and working on feet. Well, now, even when I talk to clients, you tell me about that angst, I can tell you that you probably hold physical pain somewhere, and all of that is you going against your true nature. So can you imagine trusting yourself so completely that you can physically release your pain, your emotions are under control, you switch fear out with love, and you look back, 80 years old going, holy crap, I did that.
I love the idea. I do love the idea. I still have that voice in the back of my head that says, this is not what God wanted for you. But at the same time, like, I keep telling myself, God does not want me to live this life unhappy, right? And so, be curious, learn about all these different things. Just, like you're just learning. That doesn't mean you're doing anything or you're,
Right.
So I'm curious though. Okay, so I know there's still lots to learn about astrology, but let's dive into reflexology, because I get it. I'm getting, like, I'm actually going through sessions myself. I don't really know what you call the sessions. I'll just call them sessions for now. But I don't really get it. Like, I know that the foot is the map of the body in Chinese medicine, but how do you unblock or like, I don't know what the word you used. You have physical like ailments in your body, you have pain or whatever, and they're all held in, I'm assuming they're held in your feet, and the reflexology helps you get rid of them. You need to explain that a little bit more to me.
Well, the cool part about the feet is, yes, it's like a mirror. It's a reflection. Because of the way, and this is very simplified, of course. I mean, you go to medical books, look at all the things, but if you actually look at the nervous system, take everything else away and just the nerves, you will find there's particular areas in your body where all nerves end. The main area is your feet. Now think about your entire life. Have your feet ever not been there? Have they ever not carried you through that argument? Not carried you through that?
My feet hurt all the time.
Right.
All the time.
Don't tell me where it hurts, because there's a whole story behind that. Here's the thing though. Our feet are literally the anvils that everything we feel, we think, we do, they carry the story. They record it. And so when I work with a client and their feet, it's more like I'm not healing anything. And this is a funny thing. I tell clients this all the time. If you're looking for me to heal you, you're failing. Okay. First of all, I'm only here to trigger your body or to remind your body or to stimulate your body, whatever it is needed during that time, so that your body can heal itself. All I'm doing is reminding the nerves to let go of the pain. And it filters up through the body, and your body actually decides what gets healed first. And sometimes clients come to me and I'm like, I have neck pain, or I can't sleep, or something. And then they come back and they're like, oh my God, my knee used to bother me, but it doesn't anymore. Well, the body decided the knee was more important at that time. And I know I'm just making up scenarios, but different things can heal at different times. Your feet might hurt all the time because it's not just your feet that's hurting. Your feet are saying your whole body is exhausted. So this is where, when you go for your treatments and you get them done, your body is going to determine what needs to be healed first.
Wow.
And it takes time, because obviously it took time to get all that weight. It's best example I have. Ever been to a wedding? Ever dance in your pretty shoes all night and dance?
No, they usually came off after the first dance.
But there you go, right there.
Yeah.
Take our shoes off, assuming the dancing and the shoes are what make our feet hurt, but you still wake up sore the next day. Well, your feet already told you your body was hurting.
So they're not sore from the dancing and carrying the weight on those uncomfortable high heel shoes.
Part of it, because we have to take physical acknowledgement into it. Yes, it's probably wearing the wrong size of shoes, wrong style of shoes, not supportive of our body. I mean, as humans, we're not even supposed to wear shoes. We're supposed to be barefoot. That is a part of it. But the reality is that when you go beyond that pain and don't listen to your feet saying, hey, this might be time to take a break, the body in the morning wakes up and is reflecting the pain your feet had the night before. So there are times when the foot will actually start hurting before the body part hurts. Because the foot registers it. And that's why I love saying that the feet spill the tea, because I have clients fill out the health forms and they'll talk to me and I'll ask questions, and then I'll look at their feet and I'll be like, what about this organ? Or this part of your body? And they're like, how do you know? Because your foot told me. You can lie. And we do. We tell our stories the way we tell them, and it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but the feet don't. The feet record everything we do. And so with that, and the cool part is with astrology, especially in the medical astrology, there's body parts and everything's assigned to that. And so what body parts and where the foot hurts and where your pain is in your body actually gives me sort of like let's say a magic key to the door in your chart to tell you the base of where that pain is coming from. So especially if it's a mental or emotional pain, it helps ask the question to start unraveling that weight. And even a mental weight or an emotional weight can hurt the feet.
Wow. I'm like, it's so fascinating to me, right? That these feet of mine can tell you, like I went for a session actually just the other day, and she was, doing her thing on the side of my feet, and it was burning, and I could feel like it was like little balls of burning fire.
Inside
like on the outside of the foot, right?
Oh, the outside.
Yeah. And I was like, what the hell is she doing? Like, like it didn't feel good at all. Right. And I'm not going to say it feels good to have my feet massaged. I love a foot massage, but this
but a treatment is different than just
it's not just a massage. Yeah. And so I'm like, what the hell is she doing? Like, that burns. Mm-hmm. Right. And then when she was all done, she asked me questions, and, was sort of, navigating where she needed to go. And then she was, did you feel anything over here? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, it was super like it was like little balls of fire. And she says, yeah, those are your knees and your hips. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? Right. Like, I had no idea. And I was off to yoga right after. And so I was like, okay. So when I got to my yoga class, I said to the instructor, let's work on knees and hips, because apparently I got issues. Right. So I was really surprised. Like, I was like, wow. Like,
if we take that, and it's funny because I've moved some of my reflexology to online, and this is how I actually talk with my clients too. So you've discovered that it's the knee and hip reflex that's responding. Well, okay, first step, right foot, left foot, because the right foot reflects the right side, the left foot reflects the left side. So the side that burned is the side that's actually arguing, right? Or out of alignment, responding, reacting, however you want to put it. But to me, I would follow that foot line up. The other part of it is knees and hips is a really interesting area. Knees especially makes me think Capricorn, makes me think Saturn. So right off the hop, it's where do you feel like you're losing control? Where do you feel like you are imbalanced? You don't have a strong foundation. Left or right foot matters too, because left foot's the more feminine side, right foot's the more masculine side. Is it a past issue or a current issue? Again, the foot tells me which one that is too. And then when we go into hips, that's very much root chakra and sacral chakra. So how is your creativity? How is your emotion? Might even lead to questions about intimacy and connection with your partner. Where is this foundation coming from? Finances is a good foundation to talk about too, but making sure that your routine and pattern is all laid out.
Okay, so I think you just blew me away, right? I'm like, we went from, my knees and my hips were burning. Right. I wouldn't call it pain, right? Like, they were burning.
You just responded.
Right. And so from there, you went into my chakra system. So, I mean, obviously we need to go there because that's part of what you do.
Yeah.
But like, we're having issues like with my husband, like my partner, right? Like,
that is one of the questions.
Right? No, I'm not going to go there because that's not what this is about today. But
no.
That's what our feet will tell us.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wow. Like, I was not expecting
and here's the thing. I will ask the qualifying questions, right? If I have access to your chart, well, I automatically go to those placements in your chart to add to those qualifying questions. Maybe it's not a partner. Maybe it's kids. Right? There's certain ages or kids drive us bonkers and throw us like 2 to 4, like puberty, like, oh dear God, they're making me a grandma.
Yeah.
Right? Like it could be kids. When I talk about this, it's sacral chakra is very much the feminine flow. So if we're struggling with our foundation and our feminine flow, we cannot deny the sexual energy, but we can also look at our creative energy. Right. And so all I'm doing is asking qualifying questions, because if the answer is no, like say, no, it's not my partner, we're great. Okay, fine. That's great. Let's go to the next question. Right. Or the next mother or an intimate friend or a friend you've had for 30 years that maybe the foundation of the friendship is shifting. And here's another kicker. Sometimes when people answer, no, it's not my partner, we're good. I ask, okay, well, how's the relationship with yourself? Because we all forget that the number one relationship in our life is the one with the person in the mirror.
Yeah.
So these are,
and we don't look at that, right? Like, as humans, we often don't look at the relationship we have with ourselves before we look at other relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. And so all of those questions bring it back to that, because we want to get rid of that burning sensation. So what do we need to do? Okay, are your knees physically damaged, right? You got to go through all those qualifying questions. What have you done? Well, maybe you just ran a 10K marathon and your knees hurt. You know what I mean? Like maybe you were moving someone over the weekend and just all these different things.
I'd love to say that I just run a 10-kilometer
Right?
marathon.
Yeah, me too, but that's never the case with my knees.
I don't know if I've even walked 10 kilometers in my entire life, but
that's the point. You go through the physical, like you said, could it be the shoes? Yes. But once we take the shoes off, what else is there?
Right, because there's always
it's easier to blame the shoes than to acknowledge that the grief we've been carrying because someone very close to us passed away might not have moved out of our body.
Right.
Especially people pleasers will carry grief in their lungs because they always constantly feel guilty. And that lungs, think about the lungs, we breathe with them. Respiratory ailments, emphysema, COPD, chronic pneumonia or bronchitis, all of those lung challenges tend to surface in people who are people pleasers. So when I see someone have lung troubles or struggles, we talk about their boundaries. Because
oh my gosh, I just feel like it's so intriguing, right? To know the different, like our body holds on to things in different places for different reasons, right? And until we deal with them, like if we don't do our own research to find out what this could mean, right? We're never going to know, right? Like, over the years, especially in the last 5 years, when COVID started, I've learned that like the holistic health world is like this, like we're talking about things that we're dealing with or we should have dealt with years ago, and it's coming up today, right? And in the Western medicine, they don't even talk about that. They don't talk about, well, when you were a child or when your parents were children. They don't talk about that stuff. But in the Eastern world medicine, that's what they do. They go back to what could have happened or what did happen that you're carrying because it was never dealt with. Like that's just like I'm still not quite there yet. Like I'm learning about it, but at the same time I'm like, that can't possibly, how can this body hold on to something that happened 7 generations ago? I don't believe that, right? But I'm starting to see how
when I work with clients, I only deal with the physical body you're in right now.
Oh, okay.
I leave the multiple generations for other people, because you know what I've also learned in 30 years, there's only so many rabbit holes you can actually mentally handle.
Right. Well, this is true.
So, and I mean, I'm down a pretty good rabbit hole myself with like working with someone's foot. For example, you say it's your knees and hips. Let's take Capricorn. Well, I would have to look into Capricorn in your chart. What do you have there? Where is it placed? Why is it there? What is your experience with this? And that leads to a whole nother qualifying questions, right?
Okay. Because and so what does Capricorn tell you? Like, is it why now I think I'm understanding it's different for everybody, right? But are you going to find like feelings there or experiences there? Like what
depends on where it sits for you, which is why I'm not big on hype or trendy or like blah, blah, blah astrology, because it is so impractical. Because how you would function with the Capricorn energy versus even me with the Capricorn energy, it's not going to be the same. And so what I've discovered is this isn't just generic wellness plans for my clients. I am very specific to the client itself, right? Maybe your knees hurt. I'm just going all the way out on a limb here.
They actually don't.
Nothing.
They, like honestly, they
you're
really
responding,
don't.
right?
Yeah, but
if you were, maybe you were having stress at work and you were afraid of losing your job, and your roommates were fighting and you had to leave and find a new home, like that would trigger that same pain. But that's their experience through life, right? So picking something completely different, that is very true to the same burning sensation and the same feeling in the same area. Whereas for you, it could be something completely different.
So, okay. So you know how they say you marry your dad? Now, I didn't marry my dad, but I'm just like thinking, if my mom and I had the same experience with our husbands, right? Would we experience the same pains and ailments in our bodies? Probably not, right?
No.
Because her birth date, my birth date are different.
Yeah.
We're different people,
Yeah.
even though like we all experience life differently, even if they're going through the same. Okay, well, that makes sense. So every chart that you read is going to be completely different. It's not like
Every
you can
chart
say,
is so
yeah,
it's
so
not,
it's not like you
so
can say,
different.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
DNA. It's like your fingerprint. It's like your foot. Do you know there's no 2 feet the same either?
yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
So they're
Okay, that is
all
super. I love this.
different.
This is super interesting.
So rather than work with just generic, now here's the thing. I take the training, the same training as other people. I've taken all of that. But within respect to people being different and their feet are different, no same treatment, even if I do the same steps working the feet, it is not going to be received the same by the client, like each different client. So I do tailor and adapt my in-person sessions. And of course, because of COVID and through my own personal life experience, I actually offer the reflexology online as well. I don't have to touch the client's feet to still pick up all these same details. I just need pictures.
Okay, I was gonna say, so how like you have to be able to see my feet. So
Because
I
with
send you pictures of the bottom of my feet.
I ask for pretty much the whole foot, the bottom, the right side, left side, top of each foot. And because of my extensive health questionnaire on intakes for clients, and of course, working for 13 years now as a hands-on reflexologist, I've seen a lot of clients. And so now I've at a point where even when I see your feet and the way you answer the questions, there still tells me the same details as if I'm hands-on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. Okay, now, okay, I get that. Well, I mean, I'm starting to understand, how this works.
Mhm.
Now, what about chakras and how do they relate with the reflexology, the astrology, and then the being blocked?
Okay, so with our chakras, I stick to the 7. It's probably the one thing I stay generic in because I will tell you, like, honestly, there's so much more detail and deeper rabbit holes with those alone, right? But because I'm one of those weirdos, everybody jumped on the Reiki bandwagon, so I had to do something different. So I went to chakra balancing and studied the chakras rather than just Reiki. It's helped me to realize that through astrology, I can also read chakra astrology charts. So it tells us what planetary energy is in each of our chakras, so it can alter how we use them there as well. And with reflexology and some of my hands-on training, my instructor showed me a chakra balance through the feet, not knowing I'd already taken chakra balancing elsewhere. And so now that I realize that the feet mirror the body, the energy centers are also mirrored in the body. And astrology has implications and applications with the chakras. So I kind of just took all these puzzle pieces that I said, do they fit together? And so I pieced them together, and through working with clients, we can go through their chart, go through their pictures of their feet. So whether if they're online, we could do the pictures of the feet, or if in person, I can do a hands-on treatment and the chakras through their body. And we can actually find different areas to work on. So sometimes, say if you're blocked in your throat chakra, I'll look to your chart to find out where those planets and energy systems sit, to ask questions to help clear that out. I will also work on the foot because a blocked throat chakra, 9 times out of 10, they have neck and upper shoulder complaints. And here's the other key factor. Sometimes,
God, this
and
is
they won't
so
even say they have a
fascinating.
blocked throat. They'll just say, like, I don't know how to talk to people, or I'm afraid to talk to people, or I never get my point across. All these statements, even without saying. So I don't even need to say that I do the stars or the feet or the chakras. I can have a casual conversation with someone and still ask qualifying questions because
And they don't even know, like they don't
Yeah.
even know that you're
No.
working on them.
No. And so when you ask me who I am, that's why I get tripped up sometimes, because sometimes I just land in a room and I just ask the right questions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is like super cool.
It is. And I'll tell you, 100% of the clients that do the work on themselves find results. But
Because if
will
I
also-
rely on you, you can't do it all, right?
No,
You can
no.
help, you can move stuff, but
Yeah.
you can't actually clear it all away.
No,
Yeah.
that's up to you, the individual. But I do find clients do get spooked or get scared and they retreat back in themselves. And I find that's where the feet help, because when we drop back into our body and we're still working the feet and the client still feels relaxed and rested, it gives them that space to work through the emotions that have taken root that don't need to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned that on my own too, the hard way. Yeah.
And it doesn't change your belief system, believe it or not. You still have your same belief systems. Just imagine your belief systems without that grip, right? That, oh my goodness, that's all we're taking away is the tight.
Yeah. And many times, like, it's about the limiting beliefs, like that's what's holding us back from moving forward. So if we can release those, right, which is what's causing all the blockages in our bodies to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Then we're going to, like you're not changing your belief system. You're just changing the ones that are like not serving you.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. And I love it too, because all of my work, I actually encourage clients to see other practitioners, healers, and I believe fully in modern medical, all the way down to, whatever woo-woo somebody chooses to use, right? Because healing is unique. And if the feet and the charts have taught me anything, it's that no one wellness plan will work for everyone. And so all I'd like to do is help people find what works for them, because the more you know yourself and the more you maximize your own potential, the more you realize that your definition of success or wealth or well-being does not have to be the same as someone else's.
Right. And it's time to accept that you are unique, right? Like you are your own person, right? You don't have to be like anyone else. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean, how do I put it? It doesn't mean you hate other people. There are people that I literally cannot be in the room with. They see me as the villain. That is okay. But there are also people that see me as a hero, and that is also okay. The thing is that I am going to consciously choose not to be in the rooms with those who see me as a villain.
Right.
That's all. I don't wish them ill. I don't wish them harm. They are their own people on their own journey, and like the sun and the moon that cannot share the sky.
Right. Exactly.
Give them their room. And it's okay, because there are people who I may see as villains who another sees as a hero.
Right.
And it's okay too.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Embracing that difference rather than disparaging each other because of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
This has been like so inspiring. Like I'm so like, I want to do so much more, right? Because of what you said. I feel like you just opened up some more doors for me. Like, there's so much more to explore in this world. And, I feel like my walls are expanding.
Then I've done my job,
yeah,
right?
like it's just so super cool to think like our bodies know so much more than we know. Right? Like, I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? We've been through the experiences, right? But that doesn't mean that we really know them and understand them. But our feet certainly have. Well, at least our body has, right? Our feet is the messenger.
They're just the messenger. And crazy part is when you start listening to your feet, you actually can work with your body.
Yeah, I'm learning that. I am learning. Like I said, I've had sore since I was very young.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've always been overweight, but I don't believe that my feet are this sore because of the weight. I do believe partly. I mean, it's a lot of weight to carry around, but not the pain that I've had. Like it cannot be always. Right. So I'm learning.
And that's where, we start to check in with the mental stress, and we check in with the emotional stress. I don't know if stress is the right word, but what are we carrying in our backpacks?
Yeah.
Right? The society might tell you it's the physical weight and chirp all these things to you, but the reality is that your feet were built to carry you exactly as you are.
Right. Okay? Exactly.
Believe it or not, in my experience, of course, I'm always open to people sharing some different information, but in my experience, if people do become overweight, their knees are the ones that start to hurt, because the knees is what carries that weight.
Ah.
The feet hurting chronically, like what you're describing, I would automatically, of course, we'd weed out physical stuff, but I would start asking mental and emotional weight that you're carrying and what stones are in your backpack that maybe you don't really need and nobody gave you permission to toss it out. And as someone who's been through this journey and up and down rabbit holes, there's so many times I'll trip over a rock I've got in my own back pocket going, wow, I should have got rid of that one a long time ago. Ha ha ha. And 30 years into this journey, I'm still tripping over rocks. So the point is not the rocks we carry, but to understand when to let some of them go.
Right.
Right.
And so when you just make that decision, I want it all to go.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's work that goes into it. It's not like that no longer serves me. You can go now. It doesn't work that way.
I wish it worked like that. Yeah. I would tell you. And a lot of the hype will tell you that on like social media and all the trendy and spiritual bypassing. But the reality is unless you're willing to look at yourself in the mirror, like I have done the work to sit with the villain, the monster inside of me. I've sat with her. I know her. I've also sat with the hero in me, and the hero scares me just as much as the villain does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and I sat with them both. Yeah. And it's okay because you know what? Here's the funniest truth. Some days I have to be the villain. And I will tell you, those people who see me like that are absolutely correct. They are. But the people who see me as a hero are also absolutely correct. But this comes down to their opinion of me doesn't change my value.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
I love
that's what this teaches us is that you are who you are because of it. And so many times when I pulled a client's chart, one of the things that I've heard more than probably anything is I validated who they thought they always were. The astrology didn't change you from being who you are. It's allowing you to be who you are. It's just the validation that, oh my gosh, like making that choice, even though I stepped out of a box and did something different, it validates that. And it allows you to become free and not hang on to those fears or anchors.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you've covered so much of what we can learn in, a short time here. Is there anything that we need to share with our listeners that is like, I don't know, more, no, I don't want to start something new, but is there something that our listeners need to hear from you to make them understand more or be more interested?
I think just learning to trust oneself is the biggest thing. And for the years I've been on this journey, I know if somebody wants to know more, they'll reach out and touch base. But there is no wrong way to wellness. Right? And if you connect with somebody, I believe in the work so fully that when you connect with somebody, they will help you through your journey, however you need to get through it. For me, I have clients of a variety. Sometimes they want to participate in the group work. Sometimes they want one-on-one. And now I even have modules on my website where if they want to just download and read for their own self-learning, that's there as well. But ask questions. Just ask questions.
I love that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who. And I've said that to clients even sitting with me first time with the feet. If they don't connect with me as a reflexologist, I will help them find one they do connect with because I believe in the work, even if we don't have that connection.
Right.
Right? Same with healers or therapists or any of that, because holistic healing, one person cannot do it all. So you do need a team. You do need that. And oddly enough, I'm one of those weird ones that I do believe in collaboration over competition because I'm only one person and holistic healing requires more than one.
Yeah.
Right? And that circle of women is what is needed.
Yeah.
Or people, circle of people. I'm not trying to pick women over men or anything, but I'm thinking the matriarchal way of doing things. It was always a circle of multiple women.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was so exciting.
Questions.
Yeah. It was just so exciting to learn, so much. Like, I feel like I went deeper than what, I know already. Right. Yeah. And I'm sure there's listeners that don't know what I know, right? And I know that there's listeners that know more than I know, right? There's always someone who knows more, someone who knows less. But, you know, yeah. Like you answered a lot of questions that I have. I mean, obviously, because I asked them, but I know that there were questions that I could have asked that you answered before I got to answer them. Right? So I love that. I love those conversations, right? Because, you know, like it was deep. And I love that. So thank you so much for that.
No, thank you. And I'm glad that resonated. And if, above all else, just find where you stand for you.
Yeah.
Because there's no wrong decision. If you make the best choice right now, well, all I help people do is learn to make the best choice continuously. So in 5 years, you look back realizing you're exactly where you're supposed to be because you've made the best possible decision each step of the way.
Yeah, I love that. And I hope lots of people reach out to you because I know you can help them.
Confidence in Bloom is a celebration of self-love, a confirmation that even though you may not look like a screen star or a supermodel, they don't even look like that. You are an amazing, desirable, brilliant, gorgeous, talented woman. We offer unconditional love to our partners, our children, our extended family, even our pets. It's high time we got out of our own way and learned to unconditionally love ourselves. In Full Bloom Styling and Coaching offers an online program combined with one-on-one coaching in confidence building, personal branding, and creating your signature fashion look. Chic definitely does come in every shape. So if you want something to believe in, start with yourself. If you'd like to be a guest here on Confidence in Bloom, contact me through Instagram at infobloomstyling, by email tina@infobloomstyling.com, or through the Divas That Care website.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.